What's going on, everybody? We just wanted to go live because we have some very important information we wanted to bring you. We were thinking about having an entirely different subject today, some things we wanted to discuss, but something just popped up. Actually, it's something Dr. Jeff has had a beat on for a while, and I'll let him break the news. But this is something I think everyone, if you use creatine, you need to hear what he's about to say. So I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have gone into one of your local stores and you are seeing the scarceness of creatine on the shelf, I'm going to tell you why. Because there is a shortage. All of the creatine that you would find here in the USA comes from China. Yep, that's right. All the creatine, except for Kre-Alkalyn. I don't care whether it's creatine HCl, magna creatine, creatine monohydrate, creatine, whatever. It's all Chinese. And of course, China is back. We have a shortage. It's really raw materials. A couple of the materials China is claiming are in short supply, and no suppliers currently have it. And that's why brands don't have it. Now, we have been monitoring, because remember, Kre-Alkalyn is creatine monohydrate. So we use the same essential starting raw materials, sarcosine and cyanamide, as you would to manufacture creatine monohydrate. So we've been monitoring the situation for, about a year, so that we would have our supplies and everything that we needed to be able to synthesize. Have the costs gone up? Yeah. I mean, raw material costs have gone up, but we've, like I said, have secured. But it's not so much the shortage that I'm concerned about. It's what's going to happen, because, Brian, we have seen this time and time over, whether it be amino acids, protein. Companies are going to cut their creatine because they can't get it. And cost is doubling. So you're going to find creatine is going to be cut with probably maltodextrin, possibly some sugars, because again, most creatine is white. And so are these items. They may try to cut it with some amino acid, some cheap like glycine, just like they do the protein. So again, be very, very, very aware of anything you buy online. I can guarantee you probably 70 to 80% of those are going to be spiked. The rest of them are going to be out of stock. So, what does this mean? It means there's a shortage of creatine. And because athletes know that, here comes the toilet paper syndrome. People are loading up. But again, we are seeing across the nation, stores are out. Their creatine section is bare.
Yeah, and I guess we actually had one of our reps yesterday take a picture of the shelf in a very prominent retail store, and I was a little shocked at wait a minute, is that for real or just that store? And she was saying, no. The word is this is kind of like everywhere. The same thing you mentioned, the toilet paper shortage that started about this time last year. This is a very real thing, and I think we should at least, just not to say out loud we're discrediting other brands, but a lot of these brands are going to be putting this in their product. They may not even know themselves if they don't do a certain level of testing to know that their product used to be this quality and now it's this quality, and they're unknowingly selling it to a consumer who just may not know it's the manufacturer potentially.
Yeah, and I'm going to say it's probably both. Will the manufacturers probably cheat? Yes. When you look at the protein spiking or protein cutting, that's a relatively inexpensive test to be able to test for nitrogen. Right. Creatine testing is much more complex. There aren't a lot of people that do it. You're going to need, high performance liquids chromatography. You're going to need, a mass spectrometer. I mean, you're going to need some serious equipment to test purity on creatine. So will manufacturers be cheating? I can guarantee it. The same people that cheat all the time anyhow. Will there be brands that will be cheating? Absolutely, because they don't want to lose shelf space to somebody who has creatine, like Kre-Alkalyn. So therefore, in order to, continue with that shelf space, they're going to cheat. And, the stores don't care. Well, I shouldn't say they don't care. They don't check. They take the word of the brand. Now, there are some stores that don't care, but, again, some of the big store chains that we know, like the one that our rep was in, and it was Vegas Discount. I mean, again, very reputable store chain, some of the biggest stores in the country, as far as square footage. And with their buying power, with their, 20 or whatever stores, they can't get it from most of the brands. That's a pretty good representation of what you'll see throughout the country. But again, you've got to be aware. Some new brand pops up on Amazon or online that you've never heard of. Don't buy that. I can tell you, you'll be lucky if there's even any creatine in it.
Yeah. Well, and speaking just, case in point, I remember, I'm not going to name there was a mass market chain that every person watching this video or this live would actually have heard of. And I remember we found some counterfeit Kre-Alkalyn product that they were selling under another brand. You flat out sent them a letter, cease and desist. Here's what this actually is. We tested it and they did absolutely nothing. They just sold through it.
Yeah, I mean, we had to end up suing them, and we sued the manufacturer. And again, they're one of the big guys out there. But, the brands and this manufacturer have been sued for spiking, for putting drugs in product. And I think their cases are still going on. So again, what do you expect from people cheating? Now, all the people who use creatine are a little more educated. It isn't like protein users where, so many different people, go to the big box stores or the wholesale clubs and buy protein. Creatine is more specialized. Athletes use it. Could you imagine being on a contest diet and taking creatine that you thought was 0 calories, and all of a sudden you're getting, 4, 5, 600 calories of carbs or sugar? What that's going to do to your diet?
Yeah.
Good golly.
Yeah, well, and the beauty of us being a manufacturer and a brand, we get to see both sides of the spectrum. Yep. So as you know, raw materials go up across the board all the time. And sometimes you have to make that call to the customer saying, I'm going to tell you this, but the price was here. Now it's here. And there's not much I can do about it. That brand, we wouldn't do this, but some of those brands are doing what are going to do what you said. They're going to be the ones to say, well, what can we do about this to keep our costs down? Maybe we go 50-50.
We're already seeing some of it because we know where all the sarcosine and cyanamide come from.
Right.
There's various places throughout the world that produce. And we're seeing, again, we're talking to those manufacturers because we have several backup places where we obtain those raws from. And, again, when you're out, you can't make creatine. So what are you going to do? There is no alternative way of making it.
Right.
And, again, nothing against China, but folks, they're like Americans. There are good Americans and bad Americans. There are good Chinese manufacturers and there are bad Chinese manufacturers. So people are going to be getting junk out of China. And as you said, Brian, they may not be aware of it. But I'll tell you what, we will be monitoring and we will be exposing this. So we will continue to test brands of creatine that we see come on the market. And if we find it fraudulently, not only will they be turned into the FDA, we then will expose those brands. Because again, when things are tough, you just got to ride it out. You don't cheat to try to make a buck and deceive consumers. People trust it. People trust the brands. People trust manufacturers that what's going into these items are right. This has nothing to do with FDA. This has nothing to do with people saying, supplements are not regulated. This just got flat out to do with crooks and cheaters. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, the person who pays the price for it is the end user, the consumer.
Yeah.
And pay for it with their wallet and their body because they're not going to get the results. And they paid a nice premium price for nothing. And we just know, we've seen this so many times. We've exposed protein things. I remember you were in that article about protein spiking. You were one of the to first catch that. And they used you as an expert witness in that whole article, I remember. So anyway, you heard it. Go ahead.
You heard it. Yeah, you heard it here first. And like with protein and ephedra spiking and all those things, I've already told a couple places that I was going to come on live with you. And of course, we get threatened, don't expose us. Don't do that. That's how things are being done. No, it's not. Business ethics, be honest, and don't deceive and cheat people. Yeah, that's the way you do business.
I don't think I could add much more to that, so I'll go ahead and let you get off this live. But hopefully we've gotten to a few people to get this message across. And like I said, I always say, don't take our word for it. Just go to your local store, start looking around, and you'll see that area diminishing. Kind of like I said, the toilet paper, you went to your Costco or wherever, and all of a sudden it's like, what's going on? Because there's this, it's supply and demand at the end of the day, and people want to make a buck. So
exactly.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and let you get back to the lab. I know you got cool stuff to make for us. So we'll go ahead and
All
cut
right.
this off now. And like I said, hopefully we help some people.
All right. Sounds good.